have the soup. All right, Marshall and Paul are in the booth here for the trophy round.
You came to the right restaurant, Maria. Me and Paul will serve. We love that soup as well. That's, of course, the nickname that we give to these decks that play 4, maybe 5 colors, sometimes 3 if it's cowardly soup, you know. But yeah, that's what Christoffer Larsen has in his hands here. We saw him dismantle both of his round 1 and round 2 opponents. Now he's going to be playing for the trophy here against Davor Detecnik, who's on Silver Quill, which I think if you told Chris that would be one of the decks he doesn't want to face, right. But this isn't really the fastest version of it.
Yeah, it's not the fastest version, and also on the flip side, Chris Larsen's deck doesn't necessarily go over the top as much as you would see in other Converge decks. He's got definitely a much lower curve and a lot of cheap ramp effects, so he can actually withstand some of the aggression. Now, so it's actually possible that the more slower version might actually do more work because of that.
Well, this is kind of why Christoffer Larsen took this card, right? Yep. He is hoping to be able to start just curving straight away, and that's exactly what's going to happen. He's got Frog aggro coming in here.
Right.
I guess it's technically a salamander, but how about amphibian aggro?
Right. Turn 2, just attacking for 2 here, and then very likely has another follow-up here.
3. Yep.
Oh, it doesn't. Actually, just keeps a 2/4/10, all green mana here.
Wow, I was not joking.
It has Archaic Agony and Applied Geometry, but if the war can kind of slow things down a little bit, it's not the end of the world, right? If Chris Larsen was able to just go Island Applied Geometry, probably the game just ends right there. But given the missed land drop,
well, this will be a stop sign.
Yeah.
Though Barrage Barrage in hand here for Larsen. Does he want to fire it off into the 2 untapped mana?
Yeah, it's a little bit rough here. Now, if you're Chris, of course, he definitely just wants Island. But given how long he's been taking, I mean, look at this hand. He just can't play anything here.
He's just going to pass the turn back over to Detecnik. He's like, how many you got, dude?
Yeah, and Davor's hand is actually great now, especially given that he's been able to kind of slow things down. I mean, look, he's got one of the better rares in the format, Emeritus of Woe in hand. Typically, you want to wait till turn 6, but I mean, it's just basically a 6-mana creature that just gets you the best card in your deck.
He's going to play Render Speechless here. And he says, wait a minute, I thought you were a soup deck.
Right now, I'm not very soupy. That's correct.
Right now, he's only one flavor of soup. It's just green soup.
Yeah, I hope you like frog soup.
Yeah. Pea
Salamander soup.
Yeah. Yeah, but Render Speechless is certainly one of those cards that has been kind of an overperformer. You look at that type of effect. Historically, you know, a coercion type effect, hey, look at your hand, take a card, has just been okay. But in this type of format where you have all these soup decks that are trying to go over the top, play some big cards like Snarl Song, does a lot of work, and the 2 counters also super relevant, and it lets you trigger Repartee.
Well, Larsen's trying to play the mono-green beatdown route here as he loses the geometry to the Render Speechless. He did get to fire off the Barrage Barrage to get the speed bump out of the way.
And the blue-red dual land was an excellent draw, as it does allow you to fire off a Snarl Song with 1 more land. Ideally, if you draw an island, you can do it for 3 here. Or the Archaic Agony if Davor plays out something smaller.
Or if he just doesn't hit his land, yeah.
Right.
4/6.
All right, so 4/6 will be an excellent blocker. Chris can still attack with the Death Touchers. Barrage Barrage. Does he have, did he cast that one?
He cast it in response to the render, yeah.
Okay. All right.
He's got 5 mana here for a Terrafractal.
That's a
4 power.
Yeah, 4 power Terrafractal.
And he gains 2.
And it pumps the ground creature, however, it's still just a 3/3.
That's right.
Now we have a 4/6 prepare creature. I imagine Davor is not going to be looking to attack with this just yet, just trying to stabilize the board here. Has to deal with the big Terrafractal, of course, but no removal in hand at the moment. Now you do have the Emeritus of Woe in hand if you have land number 6. You can play it out, cast a Modern Tutor, try to find a kill spell. Davor does have a couple of copies of Stand Up For Yourself in his deck.
Yeah, that'd be very nice to kill a Terrafractal.
2, 4, 7.
And Davor's in one of those spots where he's probably thinking, well, you know, I just have to kind of hope you don't draw something. I know exactly what you have. You know, given the Archaic Agony, you're not really interested in playing a small creature, as it'll probably just die.
Mm-hmm.
It's got, oh, maybe he just plays it anyways. Like, if you want to spend your whole turn to the Archaic Agony, maybe it's not too bad. You also have Cost of Brilliance. You can turn that into a 3/3.
This here, counter.
Oh,
Vigil.
dig site inventory.
Attack your opponent.
Yep.
So what do you need?
The
He needs a
Does
counter.
it get vigilance too?
Right, it does.
I'll take
+1/+1
5.
counter and vigilance.
It's a good attack.
Yeah.
It's not really primary game plan for
No.
for right now, but
I'll prepare this guy.
All right. And now Chris Larsen's going, okay, if I would really love to draw, it's a 4/3, I believe.
for the Emeritus of
Yeah.
Will, yeah.
Yeah, so, oh, excuse
5/4?
me, 5/4. So the Archaic Agony would not actually be able to get it done. So, I mean, just card on a rate by itself is just incredible. Just a 4-mana 5/4, and then just,
Yeah.
if you can untap, I mean, you will be able to deal with that Terrafractal. Chris Larsen found...
Oh, he drew a swamp.
He's Drew Swamp, but he's 1 mana short of being able
Yeah.
to kill the 5/4. However, he can play out a Snarl Song here. For 4?
For
Wait, no.
3.
Green. Oh, because the blue-red land attempts for
Right.
blue. Oh, so he can only do it for 3, right?
That's rough.
Yeah. I mean, Davor is down to 7 here.
Yeah, so that's a good attack.
We're getting 3 life. I'll make 2 creepers.
And he's just
Yep.
going to go ahead and build out his board with Snarl Song here.
And Davor absolutely needs to deal with the flyers here, but of course there's also just a giant ground force that he also needs to handle.
Yeah, the Ambitious Augmenter's now got 3 counters on it, so it's up to 4/4. It's a lot of power and toughness
Right.
that Chris has put out here.
Yeah. I
And
mean,
also, the Newts can get pretty frisky on a board
right.
like this.
Especially when your opponent's down to 7 life here. I mean, Davor's best play is probably just finding, oh, he actually just drew Stand Up for Yourself.
Oh, interesting.
So that helps a lot, right? Because now you can potentially just run out another creature if you feel like you're just going to get run over.
He can go Joined Researchers plus Stand
That's
Up
right.
for Yourself. It sure does look suspicious to Larsen if you don't do the Demonic Tutor, but he is under a ton of pressure and doesn't really have the luxury right now.
Yeah, it's just a tough spot here. Just so much pressure here coming from Chris Larsen. Yep.
So that's Joined Researchers.
And killing it now just so that Chris doesn't draw any way to protect the creature or perhaps a counter spell.
It's at the beginning of your end step, but I'm gonna have more cards. So
Fact.
And Chris Larsen, again, has that Archaic Agony to kill the 2/2 and actually will be able to have one card to draw off of that if he likes.
He might be able to get in for an attack, at least with the Newts. Oh, he drew Last Gasp.
Oh, my goodness. Now, he doesn't have mana to
Can't
cast
do
both.
Both, though.
Right.
So does he want to get frisky here?
Now, the Last Gasp does mean that if you do block with the 5/7, if you Last Gasp that, that becomes a 2/4.
Or toughness.
But the tokens are currently 3/3s.
Yes. So it would have to be the Augmenter that gets blocked, and that's the one that
Right.
Davor probably wants to block the least, at least on a trading situation. Yeah, Chris is going to go deep into the tank here. He really has to figure out this turn.
Yeah, you could just fire off the Agony and can you leave up a black? No, you can't because you want to find that you want to get that extra card off of the Agony if you're going to be looking to target the Joined Researchers.
Exactly.
Yeah, so you can't keep up the swamp. All right, reveal 1 card.
1.
It's Graphalon, yeah.
Graphalon. You can play that next turn.
Now, can he attack
Yeah,
with the Newt here?
I mean, you're at 20 life.
Yeah.
So you probably
Yeah,
can.
he's
All
in
right,
there.
He's getting aggressive. Now, Davor does have a dig site inventory in the
One card.
graveyard, so he can
Yes.
get in if he likes, but that's a lot of ground. That's a lot of toughness on the battlefield here. Davor does find land number 6. Now, keep in mind, we still haven't cast Demonic Tutor yet, right? That's still on the table. So now you can use that to get the second copy of Stand Up for Yourself or whatever else you might need here.
Yeah, and it looks like he's drawn another land for the turn, which is actually kind of welcome at this point.
Yeah,
He
especially
has
with,
so much to do.
I know, I mean, he's got that Forum Necroscribe in hand as well.
Yeah, and he may just want to go for
Just
that.
play that out.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
funny.
Does have War.
He's had
discard a
access to
card.
Demonic Tutor for 2
Right.
turns in a row and is like, nah.
No, I need just to have just more big creatures in play. I mean, the more 4 toughness creatures on the battlefield, the better, right? When you're facing a pair of 3/3s on the battlefield.
And the Forum Necroscribe is really annoying. It's
Yeah.
huge, and if you want to get rid of it, they get cards back.
Is
Like,
there a creature in Davor's graveyard? There is the
good
joint
question.
researchers, right?
Right,
You've got
yeah,
the
we know
joint
that
researchers
one,
At least.
yep. Yeah, it has Ward, discard a card, so it's
Right.
card advantage even if they kill it.
Yeah, and Chris is kind of down to 2 cards here, so it's a hefty cost if you even find some way to get it off the battlefield. Now, like you mentioned too, I mean, Chris can just at least get in with the newts, right? It's not like Davor's in any real position here to attack. So you can do that at least.
Right.
That's what he's doing. And if you're Davor, you go,
It's really
this is so annoying,
It's
but
really
I guess I'll go
annoying.
to 4. Yeah. Then you can just run out the Tammy, or excuse me, the Gruffalon.
probably Chris's worst card,
Right?
but it is still power and
It's-
toughness with
it's-
an opponent at 4.
It's still just a 3-power creature, yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
and
is it-
every little bit of damage is mattering here. Those newt attacks are
Adaptive guy have before?
doing it.
0. It has 4. It has 4 all the time.
It was 4 at the start of the turn?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it was like a while like that.
All right, time to Demonic Tutor.
What do you play? Say it.
You don't have to say.
Demonic too.
There it is.
Okay, that part.
Yeah.
That is cool, though.
Yeah,
We're
being able
playing
to-
limited, and Demonic
Ancestral
Tutor's on the
Recall,
stack.
Demonic Tutor.
Like, for reals.
Right.
That's pretty cool. Chris wanted to hear it. I like it.
I mean, how often do you get to say I cast Demonic Tutor outside
old
outside
school.
of Q draft? Whoo!
Brought
Who
up the
pulled that
Alpha
one?
DT.
So, yeah, I mean, when we were looking in terms of removal, I believe there were the 2 copies of Stand Up for Yourself. So that would be a really nice
There are.
thing to go get here.
Yeah, I looked on the sheet. He's got 2 of them.
And that would also trigger Repartee, right? So you can get something back from the graveyard onto the battlefield because you have the Forum Necroscribe in play.
Did he get Masterful Flourish?
No, he had that in hand.
So he got Silver Quill Charm
He
then?
drew Silver Quill Charm, okay.
Well, that also triggers Repartee.
Of course, yeah. Oh, man. Dig side inventory.
And this dude.
Yep.
give it vigilance.
This triggers.
Yeah, now you get to kind of see all the repartee stuff on from the Silver Quill side.
It's a Death Toucher to start
Yeah.
trading with the newts.
And I mean, it looks like Davor is
And the charm for the other. That is funny.
turning the corner here.
It's weird how those are what matters at the moment.
Right, and remember, you just get a trigger every turn, right? Because that creature just prepares every single turn.
Yes.
So now you get a joint researchers here in play as well.
And Detecnik's looking
Yeah.
at what his attacks look like.
Yeah, it's like, how aggressive can I be? I mean, when it comes to just combat and limited in general, you know,
This is a
Davor,
fight.
he is
Attack
fairly
with
well known in the limited Magic
That's eight.
community. He's one of the best limited content creators out there. Just
Cool.
fantastic,
Cool.
fantastic player. I've watched several of his videos, and I've just been thoroughly impressed with the way that he just, you know, can just manage board states. So it just doesn't come as a surprise where just in every single turn, he'll know exactly kind of what to attack with, what to keep back, and what to expect.
And he's certainly working this board state beautifully. Finds himself down to 4 against Larsen and has just methodically rebuilt his entire board.
Yeah. Now Chris Larsen
Tam off the
yeah,
top for
found
Chris.
found a Tam here and a land.
So is this where we start to, now Chris needs to change gears?
Right. Yeah. I mean, at this point, I think Davor has almost entirely stabilized here, especially with the Silver Quill Charm and the Cost of Brilliance. So now, I mean, I think Larsen's on the. All right. I see what we're doing. We're now kind of at a stalemate. I'm going to try to draw some cards with the Tam here and get something going.
13.
He does get an increment trigger there on the Graphlon too. Chris did take that big hit last turn.
Yeah, and again, Davor just every turn can get some triggers here, and his hand is full of action still.
Draw.
Prepare, yeah. Now, it's a lot harder to attack, given that there is the Newt on defense now.
Trigger.
Might want to find a way to go to the skies.
6, 0, 13.
I mean, you still have fairly safe attacks, just given the fact that you have that Masterful Flourish in hand. And look, if your creature dies in trades, that's fine. You can just get it back with the Necroscribe in play.
Necroscribe.
Davor, of course, given that he's at 4, though, still needs to be careful. Now, Silver Quill Charm, it does have a third ability that people rarely use. You can drain your opponent for 3 life.
That's right.
Right? So if, you know, Christoffer goes, okay, I think I have just enough to kill you, Davor could fire that off and just drain just to stay alive. Or if Chris takes a lot of the damage, he could use it to finish off Chris Larsen.
Yeah, those are the 2 use cases for that last mode, is when you're in a racing situation and you can swing a race in your favor, or when you're just about to win the game because you can get them to 3 or less. Okay, he gets a cash in for a fractal here. Christoffer Larsen seems content.
Yeah. Davor has...
Just chump and
right.
leave himself with a fractal.
I mean, Chris Larsen has so many creatures in play, and Davor has 3 creatures back.
He does.
Okay.
Silver Charm.
If you attack with everything...
Brilliance.
Yeah. And there's a last gasp here, too. Did Davor maybe get a little too aggressive? We'll find out here.
We're going to find out in a second, because
Right.
Chris just draws another card here.
Okay.
It's just a land, but as you mentioned, last gasp.
Now, remember, Davor is at an effective
7
life. And if you block 3 of the creatures... Now, I mean, all the creatures on the right have at least 3 power, right?
Correct.
Right.
In fact, all of them except for the newts.
Right.
Yeah, it's 4
Exactly.
power, 3 power, 4 power, 3 power, 4 power.
So if you block all the 4 power creatures, that's 3, 6, 7, 8 damage coming in, right? Assuming just 3 creatures in play on Davor's side. Now, Davor also just has Silver Quill Charm to kill a creature, too, if he wants. Anything with power 2 or less, though. So draining would be better.
Yeah.
Right.
Does Chris want to go for it?
Attacks.
I mean, I
He
feel like...
says attack.
Yeah, I feel like the longer the game goes, the feels like it might be worse here for Chris. So, yeah, is it time?
It's just weird because Chris is dead to the crackback if he's wrong here, right? But he's going for it. Christoffer Larsen attacks with everything. I think that's exactly what he needs to do.
Right.
And Chris says, before blocks, I have a last gasp that I'd like to use. Oh,
Okay.
never mind. He's
Nope.
going to let him block.
So you block the 3 biggest creatures. There's 2 creatures with 4 power.
Right.
So 8 damage comes through. If Davor uses Silver Quill Charm, he only goes up to 7.
And he's dead.
So that would be lethal unless there's another creature. But I don't see another creature in Davor's graveyard, right? Did he put himself dead to just an attack with everything?
And Larsen says, yeah, you got blocked.
Yeah.
I'd like to go to damage. And is Davor doing the math and going, wait a minute?
Yeah, I think Davor was hoping that maybe one of his creatures would trade or die. And then,
so he'd
maybe
have
get
something
it
in
back.
the yard.
Yeah.
And you're right.
Right.
And Christoffer Larsen ships the squad, and it works.
Wow.
His confidence level with that attack couldn't have been super high.
Right.
Given that Detecnik left the board that way, kind of on purpose.
Yeah, absolutely. Feels like if Davor maybe just kept one of those creatures back, I mean, we would still be playing this game.
And I liked his position.
He did. I did as well.
I have so few cards.
Wow, Larsen's on 5 here. And that
Davor's on
actually,
6.
Yeah, Davor's on 6, but it is rough for Larsen. You know, one of the notes that we had about his list, it's, you know, a 4-color deck. is that he doesn't have much in the way of card draw.
That's right.
And a lot of these decks can mulligan, and if they get their lands underneath them, one card draw spell kind of puts them right back in the game. He doesn't have that.
Davor's hand is fantastic, by the way. Turn 2 Inkling Mascot, turn 3 Hop to it, turn 4 Render Speechless.
Wow, that is a turn.
And given that Christoffer Larsen mulliganed to 5, I think you just attack and you're happy with this trade.
You just take him off of the newt.
Right. And, oh, and Davor drew a Forum Necroscribe, so you're okay just having a creature in the graveyard anyways. Yeah, just attack. If Chris Larsen was at 7 cards, then you think about it, because it's nice to put the counters onto the 2-drop, and then, you know, with the Render Speechless, you'll have a 4/4 flyer.
Right, Inkling Mascot getting in for big damage, potentially. Now, as it turns out, it also just got in for the 2, so it was kind of free anyway.
Planar Engineering. All right, so Christoffer Larsen taking the turn off, so he does get to ramp here and get all the colors that he needs. But at what cost? Because remember, he went down to 5 cards, and Davor is about to play Render Speechless. So he's going to get in for 2 additional points of damage. That's 7 damage coming in, and we'll take the best card in Chris Larsen's hand.
So if the question is at what cost, the answer kind of feels like the game.
It's
like
possible.
That's not literally over. Like
Yeah.
Chris has cards that he can draw, but he will need to draw them.
Now, Chris
the
does
best
have...
card's going to get sniped here.
Yeah, now Chris does have 2 really good plays, right? Chris has not only Applied Geometry, he also has Lewin. So if you take one of those cards, you can still have a pretty good turn on the following turn, right? Either you make a 6/6 land, or you make a 3/4 and you make an additional 1/1 blocker, which is a pretty good way to stabilize this board.
Wow, I mean, I assume that Davor in that situation would take Lewin.
And then just
And
only have
say
to face
you have a
the 6/6. And then if you do find something like a stand up for yourself, for example, then you can just get that off the battlefield.
Yeah, because remember, that's all after Chris takes like 7 this next turn.
Right.
Not that Chris had a choice in the matter.
Of course. It's like, what you got? Yeah, Davor also gets to get a nice little surveil here too. And now that since he drew the Scathing Shadelock, probably just looking for land number 5.
For now, though, Render Speechless. It's kind of the natural curve.
Put it here.
Yeah, putting it on the
Trigger
mascot.
for Surveil. Where are the counters going, though?
I think it was the mascot.
He was saying, I want to do my trigger.
Okay.
I would
It's surveil
if I had to
trigger.
show you just my hand. That was why.
I was distracted because I don't have my own dice. That'd be really
The mascot triggers.
I'm really sorry about
Yeah,
that.
okay,
The
it's
surveil.
no worries, man.
And you think he's putting the counters on there, too?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay.
Oh.
It's okay. It's like,
Oh,
you know
I
what?
thought he called it out. He must have
I thought he
just
called out the
targeted it.
triggers. There's a
Yeah.
couple of things happening
Take
here,
your time.
right? There's a mascot trigger. Where did the counters go? And then, of course, the actual spell resolving.
Exactly. So it seems as though he
There
has
is no
missed the
surveil.
mascot trigger.
That's what it seems like.
The surveil trigger.
Right.
Okay. Oh, and he's going to go late game.
Okay. He's like, all right.
It makes sense now that Larsen has all the mana under him.
Okay. So, I mean,
7.
taking
11.
the 6-drop
I'm
here,
at
but
11.
Larsen does have the ability to play something that can help him stabilize here.
He really does. He draws a forest,
Because if you play the Luen, you can also exile the Lorecaster and make another 1/1 if you like.
so you can get 2 1/1s plus Lewin. I mean,
That's what he said. He makes 2 1/1s. So all of a sudden now the hop to its don't do anything, right?
Yeah.
And so now, I mean, he's completely stabilized the board against the hop to its. Now, if you're on Davor's side, you need to just start casting some instants and sorceries to trigger the repartee on the Inkling Mascot.
And get it in.
Yeah, just get it, go to the skies.
Dig site
Hey!
inventory. There's one.
Although that would have been an awesome card to just surveil to the graveyard, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
In this case, it's going to pick up a counter vigilance and also flying.
Now, Chris Larsen doesn't have any interaction, right? So, I mean, this is 5 in the air. Next turn, that's 6 in the air. That's just lethal.
So that's
Yeah,
why
if the pests come in, then
Yeah, then the pest would have to
It's
come in
8.
and basically chump attack into the Inkling Mascot, right?
right.
Oh,
Archaic's Agony.
I don't think he doesn't have the white mana, though. So he can't do it for 5
And he needs all of
to
it.
kill the mascot, right?
Oh, that's rough.
do it for 4, and maybe find other removal. Remember, Chris Larsen does have a lot of removal in his deck. Double grapple with the past. So you can cast the Archaic Agony on a 1/1, and if you hit Swamp plus grapple, that would be incredible.
That's some business. Let's see what he can get.
Look at 3 cards. Not quite. So this is just...
Oh, there's this white source, too.
Yeah, there is the white source, but Davor is representing lethal. So at the very least, Chris Larsen needs to attack with one of the pests here, and is attacking with both here to go up to 8 life.
8.
Now Davor can still block, recognizing that this is almost a forced attack here from Chris Larsen.
So he's going to block.
I'll find a land.
He's going to play his land, play the scientist, grab a land. That's going to stay in his hand, though.
Right. Yeah, really interesting spot here for Davor. You kind of just want to play the 5-drop, right? Just playing dig side inventory when it's not lethal, and then just leaving 4 mana on the table feels really rough.
Yeah, is there any great pull to getting Chris to 1? Not so much, right?
Right. And Scathing Shadelock, just passing, and if you can't kill that, I mean, that's just another way to keep triggering the mascot turn over turn. So Chris Larsen, I mean, if he can find just a removal spell.
You just kill the mascot.
Right.
He's kind of back in
Yeah,
business.
absolutely.
See what he draws for the turn.
That's Additive Evolution. By the way, that somebody played this against me. It's an incredible combo. Additive Evolution with Applied Geometry is amazing because this makes a 5-mana 3/3, right?
Yeah.
When you copy the enchantment, you make a 6/6 enchantment, but a 3/3 still enters the battle.
No.
So you get 9 power and 9 toughness, and then you also get the +1/+1 counter. So you're basically getting 10 power and 10 toughness worth of stats off of the card.
For your additional 4 mana.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, I did it twice already.
Well, it looks like it was Swamp, Unknown card, and the Geometry here. But Chris does have a 3rd card. Is it a removal spell?
If it's not, I mean, the mascot is just lethal, right? It's a 5/5. It gives +2/+0.
Yep.
And then you have the dig side inventory. That's 8 damage. There's no way to gain life, and Chris did not find a Barrage Barrage or a grapple.
He's going to go ahead and attack.
It's like, would you like to block? I mean, Davor's at 20. Could also just take it here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's one of those things where it's like, yeah, I mean, you have that block available, but it's just like, why go for it when you have the win here? Especially with Chris Larsen completely tapped out now.
Yeah, it's tough because Chris did get to do that combo, but it is not going to be enough.
Right.
8 to 16.
So this should be exactly 8 damage.
Yep.
With the dig side inventory.
Keep this.
Yep.
Yep.
Trigger. Less.
And Larsen says, all you got to do is turn him sideways, dude. He keeps looking up at
I'm at 8. This is 8.
Great.
Well, right now it's 7.
It's 5/1.
Yeah, but you need to put the counter on it.
Larsen's always having fun.
Yeah.
Even in these
He knows,
high-pressure
like he
feature
knew.
matches,
Yeah.
he's a goof. That's really funny. It's only 7.
Yeah. I mean, we're just playing for undefeated at the Pro Tour, but you know what? Can still have some fun. And now...
Wow, they switched roles here, Paul.
Yeah.
5 cards for Detecnik and 6 for Larsen.
Jeez.
Last game, it was the other way around.
That's right. And Davor has to keep 2 planes now. 3 planes needs a swamp here to be able to get that Cost of Brilliance. Does find it. Might just have to fire off Cost of Brilliance turn 3 here. You usually want a creature in play, of course, but if you just need to find a threat, you do have to fire it off.
Interesting for Larsen, he does not have a Newt here. It's been a staple on the battlefield for this whole match as these 2 players battle it out for the trophy here. They're 2-0 in their draft pod. And a win here in this game would propel either player to 3-0. The perfect start. And wow, if Christoffer Larsen can close it out.
Right.
And sometimes there's like, feels like the champion stumbles a little bit when we feature them.
Not this time. I mean, take a look. This is your opponent mulliganed the 5, and you get to play a turn 4 planar engineering, and your opponent with their black-white aggro deck has no creatures on the battle.
Literally no board, and you're at 20?
Right, exactly. And now Chris Larsen has all the colors that he needs for all of his converge spells, has that giant Terrafractal, and even with all this mana now, you can also just surveil if you need. If you do have, I guess he doesn't have a plains probably, so probably can't surveil off of that land. So yeah, but this is, of course, looking very, very nice here for Chris Larsen with that double mulligan from Davor.
His hand is lacking.
Yeah, he still needs to draw some
Terrafractal,
action.
yeah.
Because Terrafractal will die to the stand up for yourself in Davor's hand.
Mm-hmm.
Davor probably just running out honor-bound page here, as it's the only creature in his hand.
I'll make this.
Yep.
Larsen's going to be actually probably happy to see that.
It's very last gaspable.
Right, and that's a tough trade to make.
Right.
In Modern Era Limited, if you're trading 4 mana for 2 mana and you don't get anything out of it, that is a way to lose a game
Yeah,
for sure.
definitely.
Another way to lose a game is to flood out, and it looks like Larsen is avoiding that. He drew a Grapple with Death this turn. He's going to tap out for Terrafractal. As you mentioned, Paul, it is very likely just going to die to stand up for yourself, but he's kind of back in business.
Yeah. I mean, Davor is the one who's got more action in hand, but Chris Larsen also has a pair of removal spells in hand. So, I mean, Davor with only the one creature might be in for a longer game this time. I suppose you can just attack because you have the dissection practice. So if Chris Larsen blocks somehow, then you can kind of blow him out with the combat trick. So Chris Larsen recognizes this, and you know, also he knows about Silver Quill Charm, so that would be a really good.
Would be funny if it was 1 mana trading for a 7 mana.
But you gain 2 life.
Yes. Yes. All right, stand up for yourself does kill Terrafractal right now. You can see Detecnik making sure that he uses his instance appropriately. Sometimes it's better to wait, and a lot of times it's not. Oh, and there's Tam off the top. I was saying there's a risk of flooding here for Larsen, but he has sidestepped it beautifully.
Yeah, really good draw, but doesn't have a second blue source. I don't think he has one in hand either.
It's funny because he was thinking about the last land to get out of the 4.
Right.
And he decided to go for a forest, and he's probably kicking himself for it now.
Yeah. Has that swamp, has that last gasp, but just doesn't fire it off right away because, of course, the various combat tricks that Davor can be representing. Now, especially given the fact that Davor made that attack on the previous turn with the honor-bound page, you have to note that your last gasp probably won't actually successfully kill this creature. So Chris is just never firing off this last gasp until Davor taps out.
And you see, it does, in fact, get through.
Getting a swamp here, playing out the Banemaker, and still has access to the Silver Quill Charm. I thought he was extending the hand. I'm like, that's
he's like, just let me shut.
That's a quick concession.
And he can leave up the charm
in
the practice.
In the practice. But on Chris's side, I mean, you are still at 16. You do have the land drop here to prepare the Tam, which would then allow you to draw a card, gain a life.
And he's going to do so. And that does use up his blue mana.
Right. Oh, and he found a shared roots, which is also really nice because you can just prepare the Tam again.
And get the blue source to be able to double Tam at some point.
Yeah. Also has access. Might just fire off Grapple with Death on the honor-bound page. Or perhaps the Barag Banemaker even.
I mean, I think he can target anything, right? It's an artifact or a creature, so.
Oh, sure, sure. I didn't mean the Sky Coach. I think he's probably going to use it to get either the Death Touch creature or the First Striker.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, they all seem like viable.
Yeah, I guess my general rule of thumb is I just like going after the creatures, and then if you just don't have any more creatures, then the vehicle doesn't do anything.
Broke down on the side of the road.
Yeah, that's it. And what an incredible card the Sky Coach is, though. Just they really push those creatures that get you basic lands in this format, or the cards.
Yeah, that card is performing very, very well.
Yeah, extremely good, especially in the Silver Quill and Lorehold decks where you have plenty of creatures to crew it up. Oftentimes when I'm playing my Converge control decks, I've cut it before just because I just don't have creatures to crew it.
Yeah. It's just 3 mana, get a land.
Yeah, and then it's a lot
It's a
weaker.
lot worse. It's a lot worse there. Okay. So shared roots from Larsen. That re-prepares Tam.
Right, and I guess Larsen only has 1 island in his deck.
Okay, so
Yeah.
he ended up getting the swamp. Well,
Right.
that makes a lot more sense about that choice from before then. It is unlikely in normal circumstances that he would be able to use, what is it called? Deep Sight, I think, from Tam over and over again.
Oh, sure,
anyway.
yeah. It looks like he's going to play a Banemaker, pump it, crew, and attack with all 3 of the creatures.
Detecnik trying to get the job done against
Yeah.
Larsen, who's had a little bit of off again, on again, stops with this game.
7.
Right, and these combat tricks are going to be so good against Last Gasp. He's like, all right, I'm going to do it. Are you going to save it?
Hearts.
2.
Think he will. So that'll turn it into a 5/4, which means he's only going to take 2 damage from it this turn, but that's a 5/4 flying vehicle now that he has to deal with.
Yeah, he gets to keep it around.
3.
4, 5,
6.
6.
6 damage coming in. This is a lot of threats. I mean, Davor is a little bit flooded, but hey, he's got 2 great mana sinks on the battlefield.
Yeah, Larsen would love to find one of his big payoffs here. Snarl Song would be beautiful. Noxious Newt, actually
Okay.
not the worst.
Not the worst. We'll trade with the Banemaker here.
So you got
Although the Dissection practice will be very nice against Noxious
Yeah.
Newt, as you can turn it into an 0/1.
Maybe it is the worst. There's another blue source.
Okay, Gruffalon. Gruffalon is a reach creature.
It is actually, although slightly too small to truly tussle, and he's going to use grapple now.
And all this incidental life gain is certainly also quite strong here.
Yes,
Chris Larsen now sitting at 13 life.
and
Attacking.
anticipating no block, he's going to go ahead and send in.
Right, and he's just like, there is no world where I'm blocking with this Tam, so I'm just
Right.
going to get in.
Tam has a card and a life attached to it as well.
That's
so.
right. And with all that mana, Chris is going to be
Wow.
leaning heavily on this to
What a turn
get
for
ahead.
Larsen.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Now we're down to Dissection Practice and Noxious Newt in hand for each player.
Right. Now, Davor still just has a good attack this turn, right? I mean, there's just not...
Like to pump up.
Right, there's just not a great block here. So pumping there, and then you can just attack
3
with
flyer.
everything if you like,
You can.
as the Banemakers can become 4/4s if you sink all your mana into them, and the Graphalon's only a 3/4.
Detecnik deciding if he may want to leave one Banemaker back.
Oh, just to block, just so that there's not like a racing situation here.
Right.
Yeah.
Because that is a lot of damage. It's
'Cause it's
7 at least
Right.
coming back.
It's like you either get in for 1 or prevent 4, right?
Right.
From getting in.
Exactly.
Attack with this.
No
Yeah,
box.
I like that attack. And
He might
there's
just
gonna be-
pump it all, though.
I think he's just going to go for it.
Yeah.
7.
All right. Larsen down to 6.
8.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's 8 because he
4 and 4. Yeah.
but from the honor bound page. Yeah.
All right, another big draw
Okay.
step here for Larsen, but he's got a couple of them.
Right. Yeah. He gets to draw a card here off the
Zealous
champion.
Lorecaster.
Oh, that's. I mean, you can use that to get back a grapple, right?
Absolutely. Although, is he using up a little too much mana
14,
here?
right?
Well, he's if he draws a land. No, he has the mana just to get back Last Gasp and cast it too.
Yeah, that's fine, too.
And now he has applied geometry, which he can play on the following turn to copy the Lorecaster.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
What a couple of turns here for Larsen.
Yeah, and if you're Larsen, probably just want to fire off that Last Gasp immediately to play around any type of combat tricks that Davor might have.
And by the way, does.
Right. Is he looking at playing applied geometry here instead? He's tapping 4 mana. I would have.
Double Graphalon?
Oh, because he's got the Newt. So well, it just feels so clean to go Lorecaster, get my Last Gasp, kill your 3/3, or maybe one of your Death Touchers, whichever. But actually going for applied geometry here instead, it looks like. Nope. Okay.
All right, he thought, he liked the clean
He
play
gave me
in
the
end.
pump fake. Yeah.
But he is aligned with the Cheon at this point. And as you said, this is the moment.
Right. Oh, gets back,
Oh.
grapple, and just plays the newt. Sure.
That works too.
Yeah, that also completely works. You just get another good removal spell that can gain you some life. And man, that applied geometry is going to be fantastic.
Yeah, and now he has 2 blockers for the 3/3 anyway. I mean,
Right.
he doesn't know about
So this is
section practice,
yeah.
but yeah, you know, so he can just happily probably throw the Graphalon in there.
okay. Killian's Confidence. We get a redraw here.
Ooh, that's not bad.
If you can find maybe a stand up for yourself, that could be something nice here to slow things down.
Yeah, I guess he just has to do it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sure.
The first striker here, so that's now a 4/4, and with the dissection practice, would be able to eat something.
Oh,
Just
he
the
found
land.
the land though for Detecnik.
Chris Larsen's at 6. Dissection practice also drains your opponent for 1.
The
Not gonna
only
be
good
quite
news
enough
is that
here.
it was a swamp. So he can pump one additional
right?
time.
Yeah, yeah. Could just attack with everything just to try to get Killian's Confidence back and just force bad trades with the Banemakers if Chris Larsen wants to make those trades. But then you have to think about the attack back, right? It's like,
You really do.
Is there
There's
enough
no
on the
time.
attack back here? Now, the thing is, Chris is probably going to at least make 1 block. Let's say you just block with the Newt. What are you going to, how much are you going to attack back for, right?
this?
We have 4 from the Lorecaster, 4 from the
4, 4.
Gruffalon. Okay.
Yeah,
Larsen's like, all I need to do is cast this applied geometry.
totally.
And I'll be good. You can just get it back.
And you can see
Just
he's-
get it back.
You can just get it right
It's
back
the
again.
combo.
Yeah, and you can see that he's holding that Lorecaster for that exact reason.
Right.
He wants his choice.
You what?
I can still pump.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Although, I guess it won't matter here.
Yeah.
Right?
One of
He
them dies.
doesn't
I take
do
1.
anything though. So
Chris Larsen's like, I just want to
Take one
cast applied
from
geometry
this
over and
one.
over again. Now, only has access to the 1
So,
blue source.
this didn't
If he had more,
My turn.
he could do more.
he could just keep copying the Lorecasters,
Go to
right? Over and over again. You get the geometry back.
It's 1 life, yeah.
You cast
'Cause
applied
it-
geometry, copy the Lorecaster,
It's already resolved by the
Right.
time. Are you serious? That's gnarly.
but there's only 1 blue. Oh, he's got 2 blue. Two
he
blue
does.
sources.
He does because of the duel.
Oh my gosh, this is disgusting.
And do it again.
Return dice.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, Christopher Larsen putting on a show, trying to earn himself the trophy here.
These are all 6/6s, by the way. Oh
kidding me
my
right now?
goodness.
Your turn.
11.
And he
Oh.
ends up with it still in hand.
A little bit of a misstep, though. Didn't keep up a green source for Barrage Barrage.
He changed
Okay, he
it.
changed it. Okay.
Your turn?
Yeah.
This is going to be turn 0 of the additional turns.
Oh wow, we're
Oh,
actually
wow.
in additional turns. It doesn't feel like that's the way this is going to end.
No, this is going to end very, very soon, especially if there's Davor can't stop this. But Davor did find the removal spell here. So if you stand up for yourself, the Lorecaster, you will
He could
fizzle.
break the. Well, then maybe
But you
I'm
still have
wrong.
but you still have the 2 6/6s you got to deal
But
with.
he's got one of them covered.
Yeah,
with the-
that's true.
well. Assuming that it lives,
Yeah, but there's also Grapple with Death and Barrage Barrage, right?
right? Yeah, it's still. But remember, we're in extra turns here. This isn't a time frame thing.
Well, Chris Larsen just drew Snarl Song.
Oh.
I mean, that's got to just close out the game, right? Within
I
the
guess
time
so.
that we have.
Even with the time we have.
Yeah.
Yeah. First, he's going to
6.
grapple.
Just
The
attack,
Banemaker.
probably.
Yeah, he's just got clean attack.
Oh, he's going for the...
He's just going to fight and try to end it right here.
Oh, right. And then Davor's going to use the removal spell, but then that would mean Chris Larsen still can get the loop going with
Exactly.
the applied geometry.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
Detechnik's really forced to do this.
Right.
He just doesn't want to use this on a fractal, but he has to.
Yeah, and now you just make another 6/6.
But he really does need to make sure. I mean, this is turn 1 of extra turns. He
Right.
should be fine.
Yeah?
You're at 11, right?
Yep.
I mean, I suppose Chris
Care
Larsen
to
is
make
at
it
6.
1?
Doesn't have the mana to cast Snarl Song, though, right? So, all right, playing it a little bit more conservatively here.
5.
Keeping 2 creatures back. Because the way that you can possibly lose
Yeah,
this
how?
is you find a removal spell for the Lorecaster,
Yes.
or you find if you attack with both, it's not a lethal attack. Then you kill the token. Then you attack and you get Killian's Confidence back, and maybe you can get a.
Oh, and that's going to
couple of
do it.
going.
Christopher Larsen picks up the match and the pod. He wins the trophy and ends up getting the 3-0 start
Setting up
Hello.
the back-to-back.
and doing it his way.
Right.
Also, you know, I mentioned at the beginning, of the day that I had a chat with Chris yesterday, and the deck he drafted is exactly the type of deck that he described of what he wants to do in the format. Soup deck is kind of what people like to call it. You know, it's a converged deck, and he drafted it, and he went 3-0.
Yeah, and it played out beautifully. He was still, we were a little bit concerned about, what's going to happen if he plays against another slow controlling deck. Well, that really wasn't an issue this round or even the first round. And, when you play against kind of these more mid-range strategies, like if you just survive long enough and you just get to cast your heavy hitters, you can see what happens.
Oh, it's feast time, right? I mean, you just get all the good stuff. I would say the mid-range deck is what you want the absolute most, and that's exactly what he got. All right, we're going to take a short break here from Las Vegas. When we come back, we'll be back at the news desk. Don't go anywhere.